Okay, we're live. All right, Rabbi Isai. Good morning, Rabbi Isai. We are live from Chicago. It is 11:19 here, I believe. A little late, sorry. It's the end of the day for me. It's where I get my new koiches. Today's shir sponsored Lili Nishmasimi Mirasi Rusbas Mordechai. And sponsored by Yosef Weisberg, the famous Yosef Weisberg, in honor of the 13th yahrzeit of my father-in-law, Yosef Menachem ben Yehuda. That's sponsor number one. Sponsor number two, sponsored by Ted Fishman. I don't know these names. Asiel Chaim Shalom ben Tuvia Noyach. Or Ashiel Chaim Shalom ben, I don't know this name. All right, by Ted Fishman. Yosef ben Zev, famous Yosef ben Zev in the background. Rabbi Isai, listen to this. There's a change of plans here. This one is from our good friend, Mark Ashkenazi. Rebelli, Gemar Toiv. I want to share that I have the schus to be a Hatzalah member for 29 years and would like to voice my concerns about getting the Chevra together on Chol Hamoed. There's lots to talk about uptick in COVID cases. It's very real. We are seeing clear increase in our call volume to the extent that call volume is more than double in climbing on a daily basis since late last week. In the past few days, the kids are over Yom Kippur, the radio was going non-stop. Last night I was covering the dispatch from Nach for 2+ hours. COVID calls were coming in. I didn't have a second to make Havdalah for my family. I told them to stop waiting and eat. We made Havdalah after I was relieved by the next dispatcher. I'm not an alarmist, but we need to learn from the first wave. B'kitzer, Hashem Yazor, it won't be the case again, but as time progresses, it's not looking good. Sukkahs are not much different than indoor space. B'kitzer, I'm a hedyot, and I don't like to Musar people, but I don't think people realize, here, come say hello to everybody.
Hi.
That's Yoel Bergman, everybody. Bekitzer. Oh, and then he says he had a maisa, similar maisa to me, that he was learning in 20 years ago. He's learning with Chavrusa and Or Sameach in Muncie. And 40 minutes into the Seder, my Chavrusa notices that there's no yarmulke on my head. Turns out I hit my head on the door getting out of the car and fell off. Kitzer, bushes, etc., which reminds me of another story. The yarmulke story. Well, when I moved to Ramat Bet Shemesh,
You're not going?
when I moved, Yosef. When I moved to Ramat Bet Shemesh, so the first day there, I just mentioned the story recently, but the first couple, I was there a few days, bring my kids to school. First day, new school. So I walked into school, and when I get home, I noticed I don't have a yarmulke on my head. I walked to the new school, spoke to the new principal, everything's good without a yarmulke. So I asked my neighbor, like, Menachem, why didn't you tell me anything? He says, I thought you were a Mederish guy from Chicago. So he told me. Anyways, fine, that was my Shalom Aleichem to Eretz Yisrael with another few Shalom Aleichems. Rabbi Isai, we have a wonderful daf today. Because yesterday was Yom Kippur, so I didn't really have a whole lot of time, but I want to do tshuva. And here, this is for you. I made one for you, Rabbi Twersky, and one for the rest of the Olam. We have a Twersky in the audience, Rabbi Twersky, Chosh Yid. All Twerskys are related. You know, they're the big Bali geniuses. But anyways, here it goes. I want to make a sikum of the halachas that we learned yesterday. I saw that somebody was asking questions about David Dimbert or whatever, but how does it fit into this, that? Let me explain to you. If you are a ani, meaning you are someone who doesn't have 2 meals, you have 3 options. Rabbi said 3 options. Option number 1, you could use bread. Option number 2, you can make a Eruv right where you are. You say Shvisasi b'mkoimi. Option number 3 is you could do it remotely. You could say, because you don't have bread, you are a poor person, you don't have 2 sudas. Not that you're poor, you have $26 million in the bank account, but right now you don't have 2 sudais, you are considered poor. And memela, you could do all 3 options. You could do a remote Eruv as well. What about a wealthy person, an Ashir? That's where we got a little confused yesterday. Ashir is somebody that has 2 sudas. What are his options? Now, green, bread, according to everybody works if you're wealthy. If you have 2 sudas, you put down bread. Now, if you want to go to option number 2, shvisasi b'mkoimi, so according to Rav Nachman, that's where the machlokes lies. And according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's good. According to who's the other one over there? No, Rabbi Yehuda and Rav Yossi. Rabbi Yossi is no good. And according to Rav Chizda, according to everybody, that's good. Shvisasi b'mkoimi. What's better? To make your Eruv right here and now, or to do it remotely? Of course, right here and now is much easier to make. So Rav Chizda says, according to everybody, that works. And according to Rav Nachman, that's a machlokes. Option number 3, shvisasi b'makom pleni. I want to do remote, but I'm rich, I'm an usher, I have 2 meals. According to Rav Nachman, it doesn't work at all unless you are an ani, but it doesn't work for an usher. According to Rav Chizda, that's where the machlokes is. Rabbi Yehuda says it's good, and according to Rav Yossi, it's no good. So again, that's where we have a little bit of confusion. If you're an ani, you have 3 options. Bread, you can do the Eruv right here and now, and you can do it remotely. If you're wealthy, according to everybody, you can do bread. If you say shvisasi b'mkoimi, you do the easy one. I want to make the Eruv right here and now. According to Rav Nachman, that's machlokes. And according to Rav Chizda, it's a no-brainer. According to everybody, it works. Even if you're a wealthy person, it works right here. If you say shvisasi b'mkoimi, where it works by a ani, and by a usher, according to Rav Nachman, there's no way it works by a usher, only by a ani, like you see over here. Ani, everything works by a ani. And according to Rav Chizda, that's where the machlokes is. Now, knowing that, let's see the last line in Daf Nun Aleph Amud Beis. Rabbi Barav Chanan Abba Rogel Da'osi Me'artivna lePumbedisa. He used to travel from Artivna to Pumbedisa, and it needs an Eruv. Smack in the middle, you put an Eruv. Va'amar tehei shvisasi b'tzinta. So he said, remotely, I want to make an Eruv over there. Now he is considered an usher. He has 2 meals. Now, if you're an usher and you're going remote, okay, so here's red, remote. You have, Rav Nachman says it's no good if you're an usher. And according to Rav Chizda, it works according to one man dover. This is machlokes. It will work according to Rav Yehuda. Red is remote, and that's what we're talking about. A case of remote and a case that he's wealthy. He has 2 meals. You want to say that this goes according to Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, that we had, right, Andrew? When you have machlokes Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, who's the halacha like? Rabbi Yehuda. V'amar Rav Chizda machlokes b'makom ploni, and the machlokes is remote, right down here, the red. That's where the Rav Chizda says machlokes is in the remote. Oh, so we're going to pass it like Rabbi Yehuda that it's okay. Remote is okay, even if you have 2 sudas, even if you're an usher. Oh, but Rav Nachman says L'kula alma, no good. Only a nani, no good. V'tayni kavos say, and we have a brisa just like Rav Nachman. How can you pass it like Rav Chizda? Omalei hadribi. Good kasha. I got to take it back. You're right. I'm retracting. We got to go with Rav Nachman that if you're wealthy, Ashir, according to everybody, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. Only by Ani it works. So I got to take it back. So Rabbi Barav Chanan, that used to travel, and he tried to do a remote control Eruv, he made a mistake. He said, you're right. I'm not going according to Rabbi Yehuda over a mayor because the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. I must go like Rav Nachman, that is not. Yes, you're right. The halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda over a mayor. But that's only if there's a machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Meir. But there was no machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and Meir, according to Rav Nachman. And we got to go like Rav Nachman because there's a brisa like Rav Nachman. Therefore, there is no remote Eruv according to halacha, and he took it back. Oh, I see Shmuel on. Givaldik, Shmuel from Yerushalayim. Shmuel that looks like a ray. Zog the Gemara. Omar Romi Bar Chama. Harei Amru. Shavas Yeshloi Daled Amas. If a person is kind of shvisa by himself, with his body, what does he have? He has 4 amas, says the Gemara, plus 2,000 amas. He has the 2,000 amas. Harei Amru Shavas Yeshloi Daled Amas. So, total of 2,004 amas. Hanoisen, so you ask him a question. Hanoisen is a ruvoi. That's if somebody uses himself to be the Eruv. Hanoisen is a ruvoi. If he puts down the Eruv, Yeshloi Daled Amas, Oiloi. Does he only have 2,000 amas or does he have 2,004? We say in the Mishnah that bread, and that's what you're asking. You're asking if you put down a piece of bread, do you lose your 4 amas? That if you use your body, you have 4 amas plus 2,000 amas? Do you lose those 4 amas or not? Well, it says in the Mishnah, bread is only to make it easier for you, not to make it harder on you. So it doesn't make sense that you're going to lose those 4 amas with bread. That he shouldn't have to go out all the way into the desert. That makes it tougher on him. He lost 8 feet out of the 2,000, out of 4,000 feet. Instead of 4,000 and 8 feet, he has 4,000. So that's worse for him. Says the Gemara, that's not a great right. Look, us, if we're lazy guys, we don't want to go out in the Friday sun. In Israel, probably 110 degrees today. Yeah, over here it's 50, but over there it's 100. Who wants to go out there? So you lose 4 amas. If you have 2,000, 4 is not gonna 4. So it's still a kula. I could send my son out into the desert, put down the bread, and you lose 4 amas, but that's a massive kula. Don't tell me that's not a kula. Of course it's a kula. Of course it makes it easier in my life. Says the Mishnah. We had this Mishnah yesterday. We probably didn't understand that we were flying all the way at the end of Daf Aleph, Amud Beis, and with the Gemara, everything, the whole package. So, here it is again. A guy leaves a city. Today we have a picture. He leaves a city. He's an agent for the entire city. They tell him, go out there, make an Eruv. So he goes out. And his friend says, what are you, crazy? In the middle, he left. So he had an intention to leave. And the Gemara is going to explain he left for good. He has another place to go. He has another house. He owns a house on the opposite side. So he starts going. He starts traveling. It's important to know. This story is important because he had intent to leave. And then midway, his friend says, listen, you're not going to make it. It's too hot. Come on. Let's go back to the air conditioner. Come back home. You'll do it a different time. So he goes back. But his initial intent was to go. So Mishi and his friend took him back. Who mutter leilach? He's allowed to continue going. Why? Makes no sense. Why should he be able to go? He didn't make an Eruv. Because the answer is he has another house. That's what we have to say. And now it makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, why should he be any different than a city? So now we know the Gemara because we said yesterday. So fine. Here's Yoni's picture. Here's a city right over here. Here's a bunch of people standing around the city. He goes, his friend said, stop, go back. So he goes back. These guys are stuck in the city. He could go over here. Here's where the Eruv is supposed to be. Yeah? You see the picture? Divrei Rebbe Yehuda. Rebbe Meir Oimer, Kol shu yachol la'arev v'lo erev. In this case, he could have made an erev, but he didn't. His friend convinced him to go back. Harei ze chamor gamol. Oh, it's mamish. I'm getting my money's worth. Here we go. Chamor gamol. Here's a guy. He's supposed to push a donkey from behind and pull a camel from the front. Basically, you're stuck between a camel and a donkey. And you can't. So, here's a better picture from Yoni. I just needed to use this picture because I paid for it. But now, this one is free. I'm going to use Yoni now for a second. He explains it a little differently, or better. The camel is the line, and the donkey is the line. You see the lines? So basically, what he's saying is that this individual, he intended to make an Eruv somewhere over here. He wanted to make an Eruv up front. That was his intent. Because he had that intent, what happened? He loses out on his house that he lives in. Because his intent was to go further, to go weiter that way, the opposite direction. So he cannot use his house and go 2,000 amas past the camel this way. He lost that. But he also can't go past the donkey because he went back. He didn't make an Eruv. So what we allow him to do is go from his house till the Eruv, but not past the Eruv. You can't use the Eruv as the 2,000 amas and continue going. So he's stuck.
Did he go in his house?
Into his house? Yeah. The Gemara is going to explain. Let's see the Gemara. Says the Gemara, asked the Gemara the question we had yesterday, we already said pshat today even. What's the difference between him and the people in the city? Why does he get to go, and even though he went back home, he didn't place the Eruv, and everybody in the city is stuck where they are? We must explain this whole Mishnah. That this individual was a wealthy dude. He had 2 houses. Between the 2 houses, there's exactly 4,000 amma. 2 tchumim, 2 times 2,000. He himself, since he set his way, he becomes a person that doesn't have 2 meals. A person that doesn't have 2 meals, let's go back to the list, top of the list, you're an ani. You can do all 3 things, including a remote Eruv. You could do a remote Eruv. So he's an ani. Why is he an ani? Because he went on the way. Remember yesterday we discussed these very poor people that went to get a couple of raisins. They're not considered aniyim. Why are they not considered aniyim? But they're very poor. They're physically poor. Because they are going back to their house. They're not planning on going one direction. They want to pick up the raisins and go back home. At home, they have 2 meals. So that changes the whole story. This guy is physically very wealthy, $26 million in the bank. But he's going one direction. He's going towards his second house without any food, without 2 sudas. We allow him all 3 ways of making an Eruv, including the remote Eruv. The Gemara just finishes off, and the people in the city are considered wealthy. They're there right in the city. They have no right to use the Eruv. And we have something similar. This case, person has 2 homes, and between them there's a distance of 4,000 amma. Once he decides to leave, once he sets out on a journey, he's a poor person, immediately he's able to do a remote Eruv. Divi Rabbi Yehuda, Yeser al-Kain Omar Rabbi Yosi b'Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda's own son, Rabbi Yosi, argues with his father, and he says even more. And the Gemara will explain what he says. Afilu mitzoy chaveroi v'Omar loy linpoi. So let's read the words. If we read the words, we'll understand sort of what he's trying to say here. His friend bumps into him and says, listen, stay here tonight. Eis chamahu, it's extremely hot. Eis tzinahu, it's Chicago, it's extremely cold. In other words, he never even set out to go. That's what he's trying to say here. His friend convinced him before he even went. What are you crazy? You're going to go on a journey now? It's too hot. Why? Because he made a remote Eruv. So the Gemara explains. We have a machlokes here. Machlokes is the famous duo Rabbi Rav Yosef. I don't have COVID, just something stuck in my throat. I actually took 2 tests already since I came, 2 negatives. Baruch Hashem. Yes, Andrew.
Rabbi Yossi, who we hold halacha by.
Yeah.
He is the son of Rabbi Yehuda?
I think so. I think it should be him. So, right.
The last line.
Right. Well, there's different Rabbi Yossis, different. I don't know, because that one I think is actually, that's Rabbi Yossi Shenimuke Imoy. I don't know. Could be not. It doesn't make sense that it should be. It could be. He's asking if it's the same Rabbi Yossi. If it's Rabbi Yossi that we paskin like, Rabbi Yossi is Shenimuki Imai that we paskin over Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Is the son, do we paskin like the son? I don't think so. But I could be wrong. Omer Rabbi Yossi ben Rabbi Yehuda. Afilu mitzoy chaver v'omer leilim poyai eis chaver. Omer Rabba. What's pshat in the son? Loymar kule alma loy pligi. So there's a massive Rashi here, and the only thing I'll take out from this Rashi is two pshatim. We're going to go with the second pshat. But Rashi, in his first pshat, he asks questions on the first pshat, and I just like this lashon. I just want to point it out. Whoever likes interesting lashonos in Rashi, it's like 6-7 lines from where it becomes wide. Aval Amri Noyashein. He's quoting a pasuk, but it's a lashon. Amri Noyashein. In other words, there's no mamoshos in this pshat. There's no mamish in this pshat. Amri Noyashein. Very interesting lashon in Rashi. He doesn't like that pshat, so he goes like this. Amar Rabba loymar kuli amo loy pligi tzarch. To say the words shvisasi bim koimi, to say that I'm shoyvis, to use those words. That's how we're learning second pshat in Rashi. Everybody agrees that you have to say the words. Ki pligi lahachzik. Do I have to set out on my journey? That I have to start the journey literally one step? As the Gemara is going to bring soon a story. The guy took one step up. It was a journey. He started. Lahachzik, yes, you have to start the journey. So the machlokes is Rabbi Yehuda, the father, is going to say, yes, I need two things. In both Rabbi Yossi and Rabba, both Rabbi Yosef and Rabba both hold that Rabbi Yehuda needs two things. The question is, what does Rabbi Yossi, the son, hold? Which one of the two? So the father, Rabbi Yehuda, is going to hold according to everybody. You need to say it, and you need to set out on a journey. You need those two things. And Rabbi Yossi is going to say, according to Rabbah, I don't need to set the journey, but I need to say it. I need to say that is my Erev. Rabbi Yosef Amar, no. Again, Rabbi Yehuda is going to hold, once again, you need both. You need to set out on the journey, you need to say it. And Rabbi Yossi, the son, is going to say you need to set out on the journey. All Rabbi Yossi is going to argue is you don't have to say it with your mouth. So this is a shayla. Which one of the two things does the son hold of? The son holds, Rabbi Yossi, the son, says you need one out of the two. Which one out of the two? Machlokes, Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef. But the father, Rabbi Yehuda, both, according to everybody, needs two things. You need to say it with your mouth, and you need to set out on a journey. Does he have to say it? Ula says something very interesting. If a guy set out on his way, he already set out, and his friend turned him back, it's a contradiction, sort of. It's as if he never started. He's muchzar. He went all the way back. But it's as if he's on a journey. It's a contradiction. This is what he means. Even though he went home, he's in the air conditioner now. It's as if he went on a journey. Kiman, who does that go according to? Rav Yosef, like Rav Yosef, that says that everybody holds you have to start the journey. Just Aliba the Rabbi Yossi, but the son says, start the journey, that's enough. You don't have to say anything. And Mamela, he started the journey, and according to Ali, he started the journey. He's muchzor, he's back in his house. That's enough for the Erev to take place. Rabbi Yehuda, don't get confused. If you're learning from the Mesifta, he goes with the first Pshat in Rashi. If you're looking in Rashi, starting out, you might get confused because he brings the first pshat. It takes a while. He develops, then he knocks it out and he goes with the second pshat. It's a long Rashi. I'm saving you the pain. Just go with the second pshat if you want. You go with the first pshat. You go with the Mesifta. Once again, okay, I'm not going to talk about the Mesifta. I use the Mesifta a lot, so I don't want to talk about them. Anyway, says the Gemara. Rav Yehuda bar Eshtasa, there's a person. Rav Yehuda bar Eshtasa, Aisilei, Kalkola the Perila Rav Nassan. He went and he gave Rav Nassan a basket of fruit. Rav Nassan bar Yishaya. And Rav Nassan bar Yishaya was 4,000 amas away from where he needed to be. Kav Azal, now when Rav Nassan bar Yishaya turned around to go, Shafke Adenachas Darge, he let him go down a step. This is the story of taking one step. One step equals a journey. Shavke ad nochas dargi, he went down one step. Amarlei, bisacha, stay by me. L'machar kadin vazel. Oh, so once he took one step, he was machzik, he already set out on the journey, setting on the journey. That's enough to hold that the Eruv should be Taifas. It's a good Eruv. And we just turned to Daf Yomi, Amud Beis, sponsored by Mark Steinberg, who's with us, Baruch Hashem, every night here. I like it like this, a small oilam, 10 people, we don't need a big crowd. It's much better, just like in Ramat Bet Shemesh. We're no better here in Chicago than they are in Ramat Bet Shemesh. Try everybody, they stopped wearing masks, but I heard 70 people got COVID over Rosh Hashanah, and the matzav is not great. Anyway, closing down schools all over the place in the 5 towns. It's like Yehudim. So, for Shidduch for his son, Yitzchak Pesach Yehuda ben Meir Yosef, and by anonymous, Hatzlach in Yiddishkeit, and a schos for his family to be Torah Jews. Amen. Keman. So, who does this go according to that you could just start the journey and you don't have to do anything else that we just said? Keman, Rabbi Yosef, Aliba de Rabbi Yosef Yehuda. That's Rabbi Yosef that says that everybody agrees you have to start the journey. But the son, Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yehuda holds, you don't have to say anything. So okay. So he went down the step. He thought he's going home. He started the journey. Poof! His Eruv is chal. He brings him back home, and he's good to go. He has a good Eruv. Says Gemara Loi. Nah. Perhaps it goes according to Rabbah that you need both. V'aliv de Rabbi Yehuda. So you have to. So let's see inside. This is Rav Yosef, and where's Rabbah? A few lines before, right? Should be. Omer Rabbah. Kuli amalei ploy tzarech. He has to say it. The machlokes is whether you have to. Also, the machlokes is whether you have to also start the journey. So, what the Gemara is saying is, no. What happened was, he said it. But the question is, whether he also had, if you need two things. According to Rabbi Yehuda, you need both. You need to say that I want to make an Eruv, and then you need to start the journey. So, perhaps this story right over here, they took one step because he said it, and he just waited for him to start the journey. You started the journey. Now you have two things. Now you fit in to Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbah, that you need both things. Shalom Aleichem. Oh, Seth Hellman is on today. Long time no see, Seth. All the way from university. Beautiful. We have Joe Saznik from San Francisco over there. All right, Givaldik. The Yomi Al-Kubi, are you related to Kivi's friend? His brother? You're the younger brother. Beautiful. What'd you say? No, it's not. Really? No, Saznik. All right, Zoktei Gemara. Reb Meir Oime Kol Sheyochel Arev. So, the whole concept of Chamer Gamel, we're very familiar with it. Already for the last pretty much 20 daf, we've been talking about it from Daf Lamed Hey. Chamer Gamel, you're stuck between a camel and a donkey. We already have this in the Mishnah. Suffix, if there's a suffix, right? What we had over there, you don't know if your Eruv rolled out of position, if it happened before Shabbos, after Shabbos started, it got burned, consumed. Chamer Gamel. It's a suffix, so we don't know what to do. We don't know if it's an Eruv, not an Eruv. So you're stuck from your house to where you place the Eruv. You can't go past your Eruv, but you also can't go out your back door of your house and start walking that direction because perhaps your Eruv did work, and if your Eruv works, that limits you. You can't go. You have no tchum past your house in the opposite direction. All right, and I also see Rabbi Langer, Givaldik. It's good to see all these faces again. I feel like I'm here in Chicago, but I feel like I'm in Eretz Yisrael again. It's unbelievable. Technology. Says the Gemara. Sofik, Remei Rabbi Yehuda Imrim, Hariza Chamer Gamel. We learned it already. Omer Rav Sheshes. Beautiful, he says. L'tayim etayim the Remeir, Sofik Erev, Sofik Lo Erev. Who dahavi Chamer Gamel? Avavadi Lo Erev, Lo Erev Chamer Gamel. You'll say maybe that whole Mishnah over there is talking about a case where it's a Sofik. We don't know if the Erev rolled out before Shabbat. Over here, what happened? We know what happened. We know that there was definitely no Erev because before he had a chance to set his Erev, his friend convinced him to go back home. What is that called? Vaday lo Erev. Nevertheless, in that case, Rameir says he's a Chamer Gamel. That's a big chiddush. Vaday lo Erev le'ave Chamer Gamel. Vaday lo Erev havi Chamer Gamel. In other words, even in that case, in that Mishnah where the Erev Rashi says rolled out, and I know for a fact it rolled before Shabbos. Chamer Gamel. Why? Because I gave up my position. I already declared to the world, I'm not interested in going the opposite side of my house. I'm positioning my Erev forward, not backwards. So yes, it rolled out before Shabbos. Too bad. You lost your position. You already declared that you lost your position. Says the Mishnah. By the way, very exciting Gemara is coming up. Classic sugis. It's going to be Leon Welcher is going to be busy all day long making classics that are every 4 lines. It's going to be another classic because the two daf of Agadta, Geshmak stuff. Says the Gemara, unless you're like my father-in-law who can't stand Agadta. I don't know why. He's like, I don't like Agadta. He's too much of a lumdish cup. He doesn't know. He says, I don't understand the stories. I just don't get them. Okay, fine. Certain people, each to their own. I love it. I'll take it when I get it. A guy was walking and his tchum is, here's the line. He goes past the tchum.
What about a half an hour?
Huh?
What about a half an hour or a tefach? Or is it?
Same thing. Same thing. I'm on a tefach is the same thing. Meaning you busted your tchum, doesn't matter a millimeter. We'll just be nice. And because you know what, a step is a amma. So he took a step. That's basically what he did. How could he do a tefach? How? How could he even fit on? His shoe is going to be half and half. You know what I mean? It has to be like it makes sense to have a tefach. Unless you unless you went sideways. Okay. He's not allowed to return into his tchum. And we're familiar with this Mishnah. We had it a number of times already. Rebbe Lezer is of the opinion, Shtayim Yikonis, Shalish Yikonis. Why? What's this 2? Because Rebbe Lezer holds that a person has 4 amas. He has 4 amas. But Rebbe Lezer holds that his 4 amas are divided, 2 in the front, 2 in the back. So if you look at this picture over here from Yoni, it's beautiful. You have a city here. Here's the line, here's the tchum, and he walked 1 amma. Now, but if you look at the box, his 4 amma box overlaps the tchum and goes into the tchum. And he holds that overlapping is okay. Okay? But 3 is no good. What if he just positioned 1 foot? He's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah? Like the time I was on the plane and I said, I'm on the plane, I'm off the plane. Literally, 1 foot on, 1 foot out. What are you going to do? What's the halacha? Are you out of the tchum and out of the tchum? Says Reb Chanina, lo yikonis. 1 foot is enough to take you out. It's as if your whole body's out. D'chsiv. Rabbi said, when did we read this pasuk? Does anybody know when we read, besides Menachem Mateh? When did we read this pasuk? D'chsiv, im toshiv mishabos raglecha. Raglecha ksiv. Anybody? When did we read this pasuk? Read it on Kiddush. Oh, Daron, when? I don't see. But anyway, I see Daron saying something. We read on Yom Kippur morning, in the Haftarah. Im toshiv mishabos raglecha. How do I know? Because I got the Haftarah. I was so excited to see it said my mother's name on the cloth. Why? Because years ago, when Rabbi Tursi's shul, BCD it's called now, they were able to buy the cloth off a shul. So they said, anybody wants to donate? I said, yeah, I'll donate. But I right away went to the Chumash and I opened up I wanted to see which Haftarah is read the most. Yeshaya. Yeshaya, obviously, everybody knows that. I must have been really young. I didn't know. So I donated the Yeshaya. So Baruch Hashem. So I got the, and I saw everything was great. And then I saw this pasuk there. It became a big pasuk by us. Why? Because now I started saying it by Kiddush since we learned it in Shabbos. In Tashem Shabbos Regelecha, a bunch of people joined also. Typically we start from Mishamra. Why not? Because in Tashem Shabbos Regelecha is unbelievable. It teaches you all these Hilchas Shabbos. In Tashem Shabbos Regelecha. So it says Regelecha, plural. But it's written Raglecha Ksiv. We say it Raglecha. But it says Raglecha, singular, right? Kri Ksiv. How is it said and how is it written? How do you say it? So Mela it's singular. So even if you take out 1 foot, a single foot, that's it, you're done. You busted the Tchum. But what am I going to do with the Brayso? Raglecha is B'tech Tchum. Raglecha is Chutz L'Tchum Yikonis. It says that if you only have 1 foot out, you can bring it back in. It goes according to Acherim. Who's Acherim? Rabbi, you know who Acherim is? Very good. Remeir. Usually Acherim is Remeir. By the way, and it's obvious from the Gemara tomorrow, I know that we said Rabbi Yehuda, Remeir, the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, but it's not because Rabbi Yehuda is greater than Remeir. We said Remeir is greater. We had it a few daf ago. Remeir is the greatest. Just nobody understood him. It was hard to understand him. Talmidim couldn't. So that's why they passed like Rabbi Yehuda. We're going to see it again tomorrow, but we had it in this Masechta, a whole sugi about that. Homani acherimi, the sanya acherim oimrim, lamakoim sheruba nizkar. Where most of his body, now, when you take 1 step forward, most of your body is still in the tchum. It's just your foot, your knee, and your foot are outside, but your whole body is still inside. So maybe I go by that. Ikeda amri, omer b'chanino, we go, mamish pumfa kert. Raglo yachas b'sechat tchum, v'raglo yachas chutz l'tchum yikonis. The opposite. If 1 foot is out, not like we said before that says raglecha singular. No. If your 1 foot is out, bring it back in. It's not a problem. Why? From the same pasuk. The chsivim tashem Shabbos raglecha. Raglecha karinan. How do we read it? Plural. You need both of your feet out in order to bust the tchum. This is interesting. Now we're pulling another brisa out. Before we pulled the brisa that says yikonis. Now I'm pulling a brisa that says lo yikonis. Okay, so it's actually a contradiction in brises, but based on how you say it, I'm going to ask you a question from that brisa. Oh, what are you going to do? It says you shouldn't take your foot back in the brisa. That goes according to Remeir. So B'kitzer, Remeir stays the same. It's just, how do we read the pasuk? Says the Gemara, if you only busted the tchum by 2 amas, you could go back in. It says Mefurish 2, you shouldn't go in according to Rebbe Eliezer. The bottom line is, it's the same. He has 2, but if you busted from 2 to 3, then you can't come back in. What it means over there, they went from 1 to 2, but he's still in the 2, that's why he could go back in. What do I do with this? This I can't explain it. It says even 1 am. You're not allowed to go, in the Mishnah says you have up to 2 amas. Over here it says 1 am, you can't go back. Says the Gemara is talking about something else. Somebody that measures. If he's measuring with his feet, he takes steps, and he's allowed to take steps, medium steps. He takes 2,000 medium steps. That's your tchum. He gets exactly 2,000 amas. Even if he goes, remember you asked me, can you go back to the house? If you start out from your house, then you could go. You have your whole house. But when you reach a house, then you can't go in because your 2,000 amas stop right there. So you can't just, I'm here already, let me go in. You can't go in. So he reached a cave, he has to stop short of the cave. Says the Mishnah, and with this we finish tonight, or this morning. Literally, I was coming to share tonight, I couldn't see anymore. I was like, everything's blurry, so I went back home, that's why I'm a little late. I had to redo my lenses, and okay. It's been a long day. Yeah?
Underneath the cage to use the whole thing.
Havla, no, we mentioned Havla a second ago. That's Rabbi Eliezer in the Mishnah holds you could do Havla, that your box, your 4 amma box that you're in, overlaps the Bavla to the 2,000 amas, so you could still go in. But the cave, you don't have Havla in the cave. Because when you reach to the end of your 2,000 amas, you don't have a box anymore. Your box is in the beginning, not the end. You don't have another box to extend into the cave. You're done. When you get to the cave, that's it. It's a solid wall in front of you. You can't go any further. Says the Mishnah. Who cares? What's the difference? Who cares if there's another opening or not? Yeah, it's something else. That case, that's a very nice case, that a guy was in the cave before Shabbos, so the whole cave is his house, and therefore he's shoyvis in that cave before Shabbos, and therefore when he comes out, he could go in both directions, and they overlap each other, so you could go, whatever. That was a different case. Says the Mishnah, person, it got dark, and he almost makes it, that's it, he got stuck. Afilu amma achas lo yikonos. Even 1 inch, 1 amma, he cannot go. He's right there. He's in front of his house. Can't go in. Reb Shimon Omer, afilu 15 amas yikonos. He has 15 amas. She'ein amma shoychois mimatzim es hamidos mipnei hatoyin. Because the people who measure, they don't measure exactly 2,000 amas because they know other people are going to make a mistake. So they cheat a little bit. They make it a little smaller. So now that you, on Shabbos, you come there on Shabbos, we're not going to be Rishoyim with you. We're not going to say, oh, stand there right in front of your door, but you can't go in. Because at the end of the day, the guys that are measuring, they didn't measure exactly 2,000 amas like you think. There's a little bit of a leeway over there. So that extra amma, or 15 amas, you have 15 amas to go in. Now,
it's like a gas tank when it's empty.
Exactly. Beautiful. Yosef says it's like a gas tank when you're empty. Oh, Mando, I see Mando. Rabbi said, look at the top of the thing. Hold on, somebody take a screenshot of this and send it to me so I could show it to the Rebbitzin, to the Einikol. The Einikol is over there. Mando the Einikol. Givaldi. He's okay? He's doing okay, Daron? He's excellent. Okay, Givaldi. Yeah, you're saying it. How are you doing with him? That's the Shaila. I hope he's trained now. Gival, you sleep with him? Okay, says the Gemara. So here's a very interesting Nakuda. Let's just finish these few words. You know what? Let me just tell it to you now. And we'll finish the Gemara. It goes like this. Here are the guys that are measuring the Eruv. Guy number 1, guy number 2. What do? They use a rope that's 50 amma long. When you have 2,000 amas, how many ropes do you need? Anybody? Math? 40. 40 ropes. So, first Rashi says that this 15 amma business is an approximate thing. 15. Then he says something that's more like a Vilna Gaon kind of thing. He says, no, it's very exact. I'll tell you why. Because when 2 people hold a rope, they hold it with their hand. And when you hold it with your hand, you're missing a tefach and a little bit, a half a etzba. So he goes through the calculation. Look at this calculation, it's beautiful. 2,000 amas equals 40 times this rope. So 40 times this rope, you're going to be missing 80 tefachim. Each rope, you're missing 2 tefach because each guy holds it. So you can't count that hand. So you have 80 tefachim plus 40 fingers, right? Because you're missing a half a finger. So it's 40. That equals 90 tefachim. How much is 90 tefachim? Each amma is 6 tefach. If you have 90 tefachim divided by 6, that's exactly 15 amos on the dot. That's why Reb Shimon says you have 15 amos extra, because these guys that are measuring, they're measuring approximately, they're not counting their hands. And if you really want to be medayik in the measurement, it's actually, you get an extra 15 amas. Tana, mipnei toye hamida. Because of the people that when they measure with the ropes, they make a mistake, they're off by 15 amma. Hadran aloch misha itziyu. Hadran aloch misha itziyu. Hadran aloch misha itziyu. Rabbi, have a wonderful day. Gishmak day. Reb Pesach Waxman's on. Another. Wow, that's a chashav one. Reb Pesach, Shalom Aleichem. Am I going to get to see you? You're not in Chicago, are you?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago now.
You're in Chicago.
Yeah.
Snu, when am I going to see you?
I don't know. We'll have to make up. I don't like to go at night because it's all about the Yomi. I don't like to go ahead.
Very good, very good.
Touche, Rabbi. I told you, in all the cycles, I've never gone ahead before.
It's also to go ahead. What do you mean?